guys, how you all doing? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm filming my September/October reading wrap-up. So I didn't film a wrap-up for September because I only finished 2 books and one wasn't even a novel, so I just didn't feel like filming and putting in that effort into one video that was just going to be short and pretty pointless. So I decided to just combine it with October and talk about those books really quickly right now before getting into my October reads. The first book that I read in September was Put In by Julie Murphy. This is the companion novel to Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, which is, if you guys know me at all, is one of my favorite books of all time. But I really enjoyed this book. I'm so happy that I read it. I really enjoyed reading from the point of view of Millie and also Callie. These are both characters that appear in Dumplin', but they're a bit more on the side. They're side characters, but they are the main focus of this whole beautiful novel, and I really enjoyed learning more about them individually. So in Dumplin', I really didn't care for Callie's character at all. She was kind of the popular mean girl in that story, and she kind of is still in this book, but we get to delve deeper into her character, learn more about her. She goes through major character development in this book that is just phenomenal, and I came out of this book having a whole different outlook on her as a person and as a character, and I actually quite enjoy her now, which I'm really happy with. I am so happy that we not only got to learn more about Millie and Callie in this book, but we also got to see our beloved characters from Dumplin' and see their stories continue and see what is up in their lives, specifically in regards to Willow Dean and Bo. I'm so happy. That was like the thing that I wanted the most out of this novel, was to see her story continue in a way and see them evolve and see what happens after Dumplin' takes place, because it kind of leaves off on a bit of a cliffhanger and you're like, does this happen, does it not happen? And we finally get to find that out in this book, and it was so flippin' satisfying, and I loved any scene that they were in. It was magical. I am so happy that Julie Murphy decided to write this companion book and continue all of our favorite character stories, because it was a very enjoyable book, and I really enjoyed all of the characters. Also, if you can't see, I tabbed a few parts. I don't remember what I tabbed because I read this in September, but I really enjoyed this book, and I'm so happy that I own it. I'm so happy that I read it. Also, Dumplin' comes out on Netflix December 7th. It's so soon. I'm dying for a trailer. I am so excited. Okay. So I gave Put In a 5 out of 5 stars. Obviously, what other rating could I possibly give this book? None. It's 5 out of 5. I don't want to talk about this next book too much because, like I said, it's not a novel, but I read Inside the Magic, The Making of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Ian Nathan. So this is one of those film books that look like this, that just has information on the characters in the film and how they made the film and things like that. But I had a really fun time reading this film book thing. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So that was it for September. So now let's just get into October, because that's where I read all of the books. So the Jackathon happened in October, which is a readathon hosted by myself, Peyton from Peyton Reads, and Julia from A Reader's World, that happened from the 15th to the 22nd of October. I have a vlog up all about it from that whole week, so if you want to see that, go check it out on my channel. So I'm not going to be talking about those books too much because I obviously did talk about them in that vlog, but I'll kind of just do a recap and talk about my ratings and stuff like that. But let's just get into the October books. So the first book that I read in the month of October was Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This is a reread for me, and I actually listened to the audiobook of this one. So if you know me, you know I love this book. I have tabs in it. I read it back in, I think, 2014. I love this book. I love Rainbow Rowell. So I was very excited to listen to the audiobook. Unfortunately, I did not enjoy the story as much the second time around, and before this reread, this was my favorite book of hers. And now on the other side of it, now that I've reread it, it's definitely not. It's definitely one of my least favorites, which is such a like plot twist of my life. I did not expect to reread this book and not love it as much and not feel the same things that I felt the first time reading it. I still have a love for this book in my heart, mainly because of nostalgia and all the good memories I had while reading it. I binge read it. I read it so quickly. I'm pretty sure it was basically one sitting. I remember freaking out over the ending, and I just have good memories with this book. But currently I don't actually love most of the story. I think one of my main issues with this book is that I just didn't believe in the relationship. It felt very rushed and it happened so quickly that I feel like it made it hard to believe. It made it less believable, and I don't know. I mean, I guess sometimes high school teenage relationships can happen very quickly like this one, but I just wish that we had a bit more time developing it and like not just go from 0 to 100 with them, because it was very much 0 to 100. One scene they weren't talking, they didn't really like each other, Park basically hated Eleanor, and in the next scene they're basically in love, and it's like, what do you mean? What's happening here? It made me feel that the relationship was a little bit fake. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't feel real. It didn't feel believable. But I still really love Rainbow Rowell's writing style. I think she's still a very good writer, so I did enjoy that. I must say, though, I feel like the audiobook could have affected my opinion on the story. I didn't love the way that the narrator... There was 2 different narrators. I didn't like the way that the male narrator voiced Eleanor. When we were in Park's point of view and the narrator would be saying Eleanor's lines, he gave her a very immature, girly voice, which is not what I associate with Eleanor. That's not how I imagined Eleanor sounding. So I feel like that kind of put a damper on how I was feeling, but I don't think that it had such a big impact that it ruined the book. I think it was just the story that I didn't believe in this time, I didn't fall in love with. So I feel like the audiobook had a small factor in my enjoyment, but not like, it didn't like overtake that, you know what I mean? Like, some audiobook narrators completely ruin a book. I don't think that was the case with this one, but I do think that it slightly affected my enjoyment of it. Yeah, overall, I'm very upset and disappointed that I didn't love this book as much the second time around, but I mean, what are you gonna do? It is what it is. Sometimes you shouldn't reread old favorites, is what I'm discovering. I gave this one a 3.85 out of 5 stars because there were parts that I still enjoyed. There were some moments between Eleanor and Park that I did enjoy and did fangirl over a little bit, but for the most part it was just, it was okay. It didn't wow me, unfortunately. It didn't give me the same feelings that I had the first time around, so it gets a lower rating. The next book that I read was Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This is another reread for me and another audiobook. So I had this one on hold because Queen of Air and Darkness is coming out in December. I wanted to reread this one and then get to Lord of Shadows. I listened to it this month. I also physically read some parts of it. Like, I was listening to the audiobook and physically reading it at the same time, following along with the narrator's voice. I really enjoyed this audiobook. I love these characters. I love this world. The narrator was excellent. I really enjoyed how she voiced all of the characters, and I was really invested while listening, which I can sometimes have difficulty with audiobooks. I don't feel as invested as I normally would have. I don't really have much to say, but I really enjoyed this audiobook. I really enjoyed the reread, and I am so excited now for Lord of Shadows. But I obviously gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I love all of Cassandra Clare's books, so. Okay, so now we're into the Jackathon books, and I read 5 books during the Jackathon. So I'm just gonna kind of go through them, talk about my ratings for them, and also what challenges they completed for the readathon. So the first book I read was actually our group book, and that was The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I also really loved the movie. I've seen it twice now, and I wish I could afford to go see it a million times like I did with Love, Simon, but I can't, so that's unfortunate. But I really loved this book. I tabbed it up a ton, and I obviously gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell, and this was for the challenge of read a book with yellow, orange, or red on the cover. This one obviously has orange on the cover, and the naked book itself is actually orange. I really enjoyed this book. It was a really cute, enjoyable story. So I gave this one a 3.75 out of 5 stars. It was really cute. Next book that I read was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This was a reread for me, and this was for the challenge of a book to movie adaptation, and I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was another audiobook, and that is The Copper Gauntlet by Holly Black and Cassandra Clare. I must say I really enjoyed this audiobook. I really liked the narrator. I think he did a wonderful job. But this is for the challenge of read a book that a friend picks for you. So Peyton and Julia picked this book out for me, and I'm really glad that I finally got around to it, and I can't wait to continue the series now. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book that I read for the Jackathon was Hocus Pocus and the all-new sequel, and this is for the challenge of read a book featuring an iconic Halloween creature, so mine was witches. So I read Hocus Pocus. I really enjoyed the novelization. I didn't enjoy the sequel as much, which I feel like is a little bit backwards. I feel like more people enjoyed the sequel as opposed to the novelization. I don't know, I had a really fun time while reading this, and I gave it a 3.85 out of 5 stars, but if I were to rate them individually, Hocus Pocus would get a 4 stars, and the all-new sequel would get probably like a 3.5 or 3 star. So that was it for the Jackathon. So the only other book that I've completed this month was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This was another reread. I reread a lot of books. It's fine. That's like the majority of the books I've read this year. I also listened to this one on audio. I love this series. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I've been in a huge Marissa Meyer mood recently. And so I had to reread it. I've never reread this series, so I really wanted to, and I've heard great things about the narrator, so I was really excited. Also, my next video is my November TBR, and I mentioned that I want to read this book. I filmed that video before filming this one, so it's fine. It's a little messy, but I finished it this month. So just ignore that part of the next video. I really, really, really enjoyed this audiobook. I had such a fun time listening to this and reliving the story. So I found with this reread that I'm actually more invested than I was the first time around. I absolutely loved this book this time. I felt that when I first read it, I wasn't as invested. I felt that it was a little bit slow, and I didn't really become attached until the end at the ball. This time around, because I already know that I love all these characters, because I know the world and I love the world, it was a lot easier to get into the story, and it was a lot more enjoyable the second time around. And also there's little clues in this book, so little Easter eggs to the other books and the other characters, which you wouldn't have picked up the first time around not knowing what those were. So like Princess Winter was mentioned in this book. Cress is seen in this book. And so it's really nice to be able to pick up on those little Easter eggs having read the whole series and knowing all the other characters. It's just really enjoyable because I got really excited. I was like, hey, I know that they're going to be important, and it was just really exciting. This was like one of my favorite books of this month. It was so much fun. So obviously 5 out of 5 stars, which I feel like is a higher rating than what I gave it last time. Last time might have been like a 4.5. I honestly can't remember, but 5 out of 5 this time. It was amazing. Currently reading that I am planning on finishing in early November is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Actually buddy reading this with Alyssa from A Court of Books and Pages. I almost forgot her YouTube channel name. Whatever. I'm currently on page 66 of this one. I want to get a bit farther into it today, maybe page 100, 150. I need to read a lot of it because I am like a week behind on this book, because we started it last Tuesday. It's currently Monday the 29th. We started it last week. We're supposed to read 60 pages a day, and I'm just now hitting that goal, so I'm behind. It's fine. I'm gonna try to catch up today. I'm really enjoying it so far. I can't wait to finish it, so you'll hear more about this one in my November wrap-up, I'm sure. So that was my September/October wrap-up. I hope you all enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Comment down below what books you guys read during the months of September and October. Let me know if you participated in the Jackathon and what you read during that week. Subscribe if you have not yet already, because I'd really love for you to join our family here, and also hit the notification bell if you would like to get notified every time I post a new video, which is turning out to be a weekly now, so that's really exciting, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!